Good morning, everyone. Mike and Corey here. Today I'm going to show you, look what I've got right here. It's hard to see. It's a penny. This may be a collector's penny as I'm going to talk about the end of the penny. And of course, what I'd really like to say is, hey, it's not really a Bitcoin, but it's a resemblance of a Bitcoin if there was such a thing. We want that to continue. Anyways, today's topics. Pennies going away. Then I'm going to talk about the second ego stock. Started yesterday with Natera. Today we're going to talk about RocketLab, another exciting stock. And then Corey's going to talk about how the market's broadening out internationally and we're hitting highs around the world. Who likes that? I do. But before we get started, remind you, this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything that you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and Corey's alone. So, I don't know if you saw the news. There's so much news coming out of the government with a new administration in. We hear tariffs and we hear Middle East, and like this one kind of like slid under the radar. I don't think it made big news because honestly, I'm not sure it really is big news, but I'm going to share an article about the end of the penny. And for many of you that have been around years, it used to be like, pick up pennies and all that. And I mean, now I barely even carry cash, nevertheless change, and pennies especially. So what they're proposing, Trump has ordered the U.S. Treasury to stop minting pennies. Stop, no more pennies. We're not making any more. And in this article, it shows that there are 114 billion pennies in circulation. So that's, $1.14 billion, which sounds like a lot, but really it's not in the big scheme of things. And why would they stop making pennies? Because pennies cost more to mint than they're actually worth. So why in the world would it take, and I think it says, 2 cents in this article, and I'm gonna show you a different article where it says it's 3 cents. Why would you spend 2 cents to make something worth only 1 cent? That doesn't make much sense. Wow, the government's realizing that, so they've ordered that to stop. I don't know whether it really will or not. Who knows? Maybe he's negotiating with the Treasury. I don't know. Maybe he's cutting jobs there. So, it says it cost $192 million a year to produce pennies. I'm sure a big chunk of that is the actual cost of the penny, but there's also labor and other things, shipping of pennies to banks and all kinds of good stuff. I remember I used to collect those wheat pennies where they had the wheat symbol on the back. I think it was before 45, 50, something like that. I think they're still worth a penny. I don't think I never made any money off of them, and I don't even collect them anymore. Of course, I thought the cool one was always the steel penny that was in, 42 or 43. So what does this mean for you in the economy? So now how do you get change? What happens to I like this, the $6.99 fast food combo. Used to be $3.99. Now it's $6.99. And you give them $7, and if you were getting it to go, they don't charge tax on it, then you get a penny back. What happens? So now they would have to round everything to the nearest 5 cents instead of rounding to the nearest penny. It makes me think back to those math classes where they taught kids how to round or taught me how to round. Rounding to 5 cents might be trickier than rounding to a penny. I don't know. And then the other thing in this,
how much does it cost to make a nickel, though?
That's what I'm going to talk about next, Corey.
Cool,
You're jumping into my next article. So,
Cool.
In the big scheme of things, this is not that big a deal. Electronically, the penny doesn't really matter. I mean, as far as they wouldn't round it, it would really only be in transactions. But Corey jumps into the next article that I wanted to cover. So what does that mean? The nickel. Let's talk about the nickel. It sounds like a great idea to go to nickels. Corey, there's the flaw. Every nickel costs 13.8 cents to produce. So if we thought we were losing money on pennies, we're really losing money on nickels.
Okay, we
Um,
gotta be profitable on dimes, right?
I don't know if the article went that far. Actually do have a dime sitting here by the computer. Uh, but yeah, the dime's so much smaller. It's got to be cheaper, right? But if a nickel costs 13.8 cents, who knows? I don't know. Next thing you know, we're going to be using Susan B. Anthony dollars. Remember those days? We're going to get rid of the paper dollar and we're going to the Susan B. Anthony coin. I'm aging myself. I think it's Sacagawea now. There's different dollar coins. Um, uh, complexity. No wonder I don't carry cash anymore, and I just use Apple Pay. So,
The schools
anyways,
still use, quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies for decimals
I
and
know.
learning that place value stuff. So
Well,
that
they're gonna
Apple
probably
knows.
replace those with Dogecoin. Yeah, Doge. It's around a quarter, so maybe 40 cents.
Okay,
So
how many Doge coins does it take for Jimmy to get to the? I like that.
yeah, so how many Dogecoins? So, anyways, that's where we are going. Um, so next, ego stocks. So this is the next company I'm at least going to talk about. Check out this website, Rocket Labs, RKLB, one of our 10 ego exponential growth opportunity stocks for this year. This website is so cool. So I mean, I researched the company before I checked the website, but when I checked the website, I was like, whoa, I love it. I mean, how many websites you just go on and watch the website for a while? Because I did. So what this company does is end-to-end space. So people contract this company, or companies contract this company to launch satellites into space. I think they've done 59 missions so far, something like that. The stock was up over 10% yesterday. It's down 3% today. So it's a volatile stock for sure. Um, and why do we believe? Well, here, let me show you the graph. Here's a 1-year graph because you'd say, well, are you getting it on sale? Well, I wish I'd have bought it last year in the middle of the year when it was like $6 a share instead of now when it's about 30. But uh, it is a growing company going into the future as we move more towards space. I guess we did a little space travel back in the 60s, but the commercialization of space is really what we're talking about. The company itself is about $15 billion, so it's kind of borderline what they call a mid cap. But certainly the thesis is this company could double or triple within a year or two. That's kind of the goal for our ego stocks, is something that has the potential to double or triple. Um, so as we see these space launches, as we explore planets, if we send something to the moon, you know, the commercialization of it as we launch satellites into space that monitor us and do all our telecommunications. This is the kind of company that would be used. That's the thesis, and that's why we're buying into it. So that's Rocket Lab, cool company, one of our ego stocks. So, what do you think about that, Corey? There is a place on the website. Let me go back to the website, and it says book my launch. Now, I did not click it, but I thought maybe I should book my launch for like 20, maybe 2050, 2060, when I'm not quite dead, but I maybe can afford to go into space myself. Maybe if I get myself on the waiting list, the prices come down, maybe I can go into space. You think? Maybe?
Yeah, I would. I mean, by that time we might all be there.
By then there we won't be rounded to pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters. We'll be rounded
No,
to
the penny will be long gone.
let's hope so.
Maybe they'll become more valuable if they stop making them, right?
Well, there's 100, what they say, 114 billion in circulation. Um, I don't
I'm
know.
keeping my 100. I've got some at the house. I'm holding them.
There you go. So with that, take us around the world and give us some good news.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're talking about market breadth, you're thinking about, oh, consumer discretionary strong or financials are strong. Sometimes one thing, what can get left out of that conversation is a little more of a global view of what's going on around the world. Because if there are global trends that are strong around the world, that does reflect positively for United States stock as well. And just the global economy, that global backdrop for risk assets. So you can see the Taiwan Stock Exchange, it broke out in 2020. It peaked late 2021, had a fallback similar to the United States, similar to the S&P, reached new all-time highs, and it's consolidating at those all-time highs. The SMH, now this is an American, bringing American stuff in. Bullish activity on SMH. Is Nvidia going higher? AMD, the semiconductor space, Broadcom. The chart looks to indicate that things will go higher there. It's certainly bullish activity until further notice, right? Until something changes. Spain, you had a nice double bottom, breaking out to the highest level since the GFC. London, new all-time highs as we speak.
Wow.
Poland, new all-time highs as we speak. Here we go. Europe more broadly, new all-time highs. And not only that, you're seeing some significant strength these past couple of months, really, yeah, since November. Hold on, one more. And then, of course, the winner from 2024, Israel, amazing stock performance in 2024. Wow. And it's consolidating at those all-time highs. You're not seeing any breakdown. That's the important thing here. Israel was the leader. Now you're not seeing any breakdown. Still very bullish activity. And then here we go, the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ had a pretty steep drawdown. I think, did we hit 30% on the NASDAQ in 2022, Mike?
I believe so, yeah, because it went from 1,600 down to, yeah, yep.
I know Meta and Amazon, Google,
they were more.
They all hit 50% or more. What?
Yeah, they definitely went more.
They did. And so the NASDAQ, it's consolidating right here. So what you'd expect to see is this resolve in the, along the underlying trend. The underlying trend is bullish. You're expecting it to resolve in a bullish manner. These are things we watch, right? And you can adapt as things change. But we want to recognize right now that things haven't changed. A lot of the S&P's been flat since November, but under the surface, there's a lot of bullish activity going on, and we're aware of that, monitoring that, and can adapt according to the data, right? So just wanted to share that.
Well, it's good to see, support. Like I always think of the United States, maybe it's a internal bias. I think of the United States as leading the world in finance and companies, and that's, I believe it's true, but I'm sure some people could argue against it. But it's good to see other markets around the world, because with investing we can all win. If things go up, there's no losers if everything's going up together. So and if we saw like the United States as the only country or the only markets going up and everyone else was dropping, I would have some major concerns that the U.S. rally would end at some point. So anyways, it's good news. Thank you, Corey, for bringing that up. It's really the same even within large cap to mid cap to small cap. We want to see breadth of growth. So with that, tomorrow we'll be on, I believe the first inflation report comes out. So I'm sure that'll be a hot topic. Market could be volatile, one way or the other. Usually it's volatile the bad way. Usually it's like, oh, everything's expected and the market just stays flat. It's usually, we sometimes get some surprises. Hopefully we do not. And then I'll hit our third ego stock that I'm going to cover. I haven't even picked out which one it'll be yet. So we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.